So Damien, we're very happy that you were able to come join us out here in snowy Saskatchewan.
Thanks for having me.
You have had a very busy couple of months, I understand, in Toronto, and I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about what was happening before you came here.
Sure. I was, as is always the case, or is usually the case, everything happens at once. So I was, in the space of about 2 months, teaching at the National Theatre School in Montreal, where I teach vocal mask with a friend of mine, all done. And that's a project that culminates in a presentation. The students do a presentation. And then also I had a new play opening in Toronto, which was called The Mill, Part 4, Ash, which is part of a 4-play series that started, in fact, that premiered last year, but has been going on this whole time. So that was the culmination of many years of work. And then at the same time as that was happening, I had my last newest play, Lucy, was opening at the Delaware Theatre Company. So I was flying back and forth between Montreal and Delaware and Toronto, overseeing all of those things happening. And then as soon as all of those things finished, I went into residency at Buddies in Bad Times Theatre, where we're creating a new play. So everything was happening at once, but I'm lucky to be so busy, I think.
Yes, you are, and that's a great career that you're having, and certainly for folks who are based in the prairies, it's quite exciting to hear about that kind of career. You're about maybe 20 years out of high school, is that it?
I am indeed almost. I'll be 20 years out of high school next year, yeah.
Yeah, that's a pretty nice place to be, isn't it? Now, you started in the prairies,
Yeah.
and you went to high school in Saskatchewan and up in Saskatoon.
Yeah.
And then you went on to do work at Grant MacEwan, what was then Grant MacEwan, to study acting. What got you started on this acting, playwriting, theater thing?
Well, I've been an actor since I was 5. I was working at doing plays with the St. Albert Children's Theatre. St. Albert's just outside Edmonton, and it started as a summer thing, and then we did plays year round. I did about 40 different shows with him. So there was kind of never a question that I was going to be an actor, but at a certain point we moved to Saskatoon. My dad got a new job there, and I wasn't in my comfortable surroundings anymore. I didn't know the community or and so there wasn't as much acting for me to do. So in order to feel creative, I think, in high school I just decided to take a creative writing course. So I actually think that moving to Saskatoon, as hard as it was, like in grade 10, right? It's not a great time to move. It was actually the door opening for me to write, and I'm incredibly grateful for that, because that's what I did for those 3 years. Actually, is I wrote. So when I went back to college, when I moved back to Edmonton to go to college, I was already there was already a desire, I guess, or an affinity for writing, and we took a course called Vocal Mask, where every actor creates kind of an 8-minute piece. And it's a combination, as a course, it's a combination of acting and writing. Anyways, that was my first introduction to writing for the theatre, and I loved it so much that the first thing I did when I graduated was write myself a vocal mask piece. And that's how I got into writing. That's how I taught myself about writing. And I went from there to creating more traditional multi-actor plays, but that's how I got into it. So both Grant MacEwan and my high school in Saskatoon and my creative writing teacher, Peter Brown, were instrumental in making that happen for me.
Miss Chatelaine it's kind of a special piece, a special example, it seems to me, of an actor who is also a writer performing their own work, and that I think presents challenges and benefits. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. I don't remember the challenges. I know, when I was creating it and working on it, that it was horrendously challenging. What I quickly realized, though, the benefit was that I realized, when the show had opened, how deeply I cared about the text that I had written, and how I knew every comma, I knew every nuance, I knew every word had been chosen and thought about and looked over, and I realized that the amount that I cared about that script, that's the amount I needed to care about every script that I worked on. So it actually completely revolutionized the way that I approached acting. I realized I had to go deeper with everything. And I think it's a really valuable experience for actors to have, to write something, to understand how much care goes into a play, so that, you know, you rehearse it for 4 weeks, if you're lucky, and perform it for three weeks. Probably that playwright's been working on it for 4 years. So you need to take the time to try to investigate, why is there a comma there? Why is that word like this? Why is the verb tense like this? And although I think I sort of knew that, I didn't really know that until I did it myself. You know, as a playwright, the part of the benefit of being the actor is that, you know, I could make changes whenever I wanted, right? And I also didn't have the actor to blame if it wasn't working. I knew it was my fault if it wasn't working, you know. So, but it was a valuable experience for me to have. I'm really grateful for it, and I was lucky to have it.
Well, when your second play, Good Mother, like Chatelaine, won all kinds of awards. Good Mother winning the UBC Creative Writing Award, and then going to Stratford and being produced at Stratford. You became the youngest playwright to be produced at Stratford. But there it was a different experience. Again, you had the opportunity to be in the production.
Yeah.
But you were then with a cast of other people, so a slightly different situation, I would think. And also you had this wonderfully trained ensemble, used to classical work to work with. So what was that experience like?
It is a completely different experience watching other people interpret your work, because, you know, as a playwright actor, you're not aware of, you know, well, you're aware, but in a different way, of the challenges that are going on. But when you have to sit and watch people wrestle with your play, it's an incredibly uncomfortable experience. You know, because actors you spend 4 weeks widening themselves to encompass the play, you know what I mean? It can be a painful process. It's not always fun, and if they're friends of yours, which most of them were, you feel like you're torturing them, which is not great. You know, so that's one of the things that I learned in that show, and because I was in it, I couldn't actually go away. A lot of playwrights just go away and let people rehearse, but you know, because generally actors need to go through a period where they hate the playwright. Do you know what I mean? Almost with, I think, any play, even with Shakespeare, you think, why is it written like this? So I think that was challenging. The great thing about working with classical actors, especially those actors who were in that production who are amazing, is that they have all the chops, right? They have all the technique. They're working on the best plays, so they're like Rolls Royces, right? So, and they are dying to work on something contemporary because they do, you know, just for balance. So it was marvelous for that reason, to both for them and for me to work on the play together. And I think it was good for the Stratford audience too. They liked having something contemporary. At the time, they weren't doing very much contemporary work, to balance out some of the classics.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Damien, for coming and joining us and talking about your work, and I wish you best of luck in your upcoming projects.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.